Hi everyone, it's Heeran Workman with Heeran's Home Team. So in today's video blog, what I want to go over is the foreclosure process and some options that are available to homeowners if their homes are behind on payments. So before I got my realtor's license, I was actually a real estate investor. So I've done everything from being a landlord, rent to owning properties out, structuring land contracts, uh, buying commercial properties, reselling them, wholesaling, retailing. Basically, that's what I did for a really long time before I became a realtor. And then one of the other things that I did during that period of time is that I would actually work with a lot of homeowners who are behind on their payments. And, you know, to me, it's not a shameful thing, but they are embarrassed. It's very sensitive to them. And a lot of times when I'm meeting with them, you know, they haven't even told their family or friends about it. So, you know, I would say when you're done with this video, maybe share this video with your social network. You just never know, which one of your friends or family members who might be going through this, where this information might be helpful to them. Because certainly this is not something that everyone just shouts to the world and just let them know, hey, I'm behind on my payments. So what I want to go over in this video are just kind of the top questions that those homeowners who were behind on payments always kind of had. So hopefully this will calm down, you know, some fears if you are behind on payments or maybe know some other people who are behind on payments, and then also just going through some of the options that may be available that might be, I don't know, just better than the foreclosure process. So let me go ahead and go through these. Oh, before I start, I do want to put a disclaimer out there that I am not an attorney, okay? So yes, I've done a lot of different things in my career relating to the foreclosure process and homes in foreclosure. So if you have a legal question, please consult an attorney, okay, because I'm not one, okay? So I do want to say that right up front. Okay, so the first question I had is, if my property is worth less than what is owed to the bank, should I just let them foreclose on me? Okay, so that deficiency judgment, okay, so that is the amount that you would actually owe the mortgage company, right? Okay, it's the payments that you're behind on, the interest, the penalties, if they're paying your property taxes for you as well as your insurance, okay, they're gonna bundle all of that up. So even if they foreclose on you, okay, a mortgage company could still come after you for the deficiency judgment. Okay, that's money that you owe them. If they don't get it back, okay, they have the legal right to do that. Do they always do that? Okay, I haven't seen a lot of them do that, but they could. So in my professional opinion, I think if you can look at any of the other options that does not require that foreclosure process to go through, is probably the better bet. And the next question is, what do I do about the letters that I'm receiving from my lender about my missed payments? Okay, so when a homeowner is missing payments, the banks, okay, the mortgage companies, they typically have their own process and timeline of what they do about those missed payments. So they may send you letters to reinstate the loan, which just means, you know, bringing it current. They may want you to reach out to them to let them know what is going on. So I would recommend not ignoring those letters. I mean, the better thing to do is just stay on top of it. I know whatever personal situation that you're going through that made you miss those payments is probably on your mind all the time, but it's better to stay ahead of it and be as proactive as possible. There's normally a phone number on there to, let's say, what's called a loss and mitigation department. So when a property is behind on payments, typically they transfer that file to the loss and mitigation department. They'll probably have a phone number on there. You're going to want to call them and let them know, you know, why you're having the hardship, see what some of the options that are available to you at that point, and to see where they're at with the foreclosure process or the foreclosure proceedings if they've started one. Okay, so the next question is, okay, so I'm getting a bunch of letters from real estate investors and realtors, so telling me that they want to buy my home or, you know, help sell their home. Are they scammers, and how do they know that my house is behind on payments? Okay, so typically when there's foreclosure proceedings happening, at least here in Nebraska, Douglas County, Sarpy County, okay, we've got something called the Daily Record. And this is a legal newspaper. Okay, you subscribe to it, and basically, I don't know, new corporations that get formed, judicial proceedings, foreclosure notices, just legal notices in general get published there. And certainly if there are any foreclosure auctions that are set, those will be printed in there as well. So what some realtors and real estate investors will do is they'll look at that list and reach out to the homeowners and just offer their services. So let's say you are getting very, very close to that foreclosure auction happening. Well, it might be better to sell your property to a real estate investor who can close in 3 days, pay all cash, no contingencies, no inspections, and basically it stops the foreclosure process because you sell it to that investor. So that might be an option. Certainly if you have a longer period of time because the foreclosure auction isn't anywhere close to happening, it might be better to look at some of the other options, maybe sell it, maybe contact the mortgage company to see what other options that they have available for defaulted loans. So, and then, are they scammers? You know what? I'm sure with every industry, there's a certain portion of people or professionals who are scammers. So do your due diligence, ask for references, find out what other types of transactions they've done, how long they've done it, and check in with some of the people that they've worked with. And then also there is counseling services. So the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, if you go to their website, they actually have a list of agencies who provide counseling in this type of area. So that's probably one of the best sources to just kind of go and get some information and to reach out to some of those agencies. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so what are some of the options if I'm behind on payments? Okay, well, not every mortgage company or bank is going to provide the same sort of options. Okay, so you might work with one where if you don't pay them, they're going to start the foreclosure proceedings and get through what they need to get through and set that auction date. Okay, you might have a mortgage company like that. Okay, you got to understand these banks, they don't want to foreclose on these properties. Okay, they're in the business of lending money. Okay, they're not really in the business of going through the foreclosure proceedings, and if nobody else, buys it at the auction, then the title comes to them. Okay, they don't want that. It actually shows up as a liability for them. So what they'll do is they'll provide some other options that are available for that defaulted borrower. So one of the common ones is something called a deed in lieu of foreclosure. That's saying, okay, defaulted borrower, okay, you're behind on payments. We don't really want to go through the foreclosure proceedings. So if you actually sign over the deed, the title to the property to us, we'll just stop the foreclosure process and that'll be that. Okay, so that's option number one. So option number two that they might provide is a forbearance agreement. So a forbearance agreement is a temporary measure, okay? So you're behind on payments. They might put together some sort of a plan with you that eventually goes over a span of time. And then at the end of that process, basically you have come current, okay, on your mortgage and all of the interest and penalties and everything that you owe and the behind payments, and now you are done with that temporary plan, and then you just go back to making the payments that you made before. Okay, so another thing is called a loan modification. So a loan modification is permanent. Okay, so they may adjust the length of the term. Okay, so if you had a 15-year mortgage, they might stretch it out, okay, and readjust possibly the interest rate. So whatever your loan terms are, if they feel like you're a good candidate to change any of those terms, they'll do it for you on a permanent basis. And then let's see here. And then obviously there's sales. You can sell your property before the foreclosure is done. And as long as you can get all of the back payments, the principal, escrow accounts where they may have paid your insurance as well as property taxes for you. If you can get that all paid off and everyone gets what they're supposed to get, okay, then you're done. Okay, it stops the foreclosure if you can do it before that auction date. And then lastly, short sales. So with the last housing crisis, short sales kind of became a household word. Okay, so what a short sale means is that you are negotiating to sell the house for less than what is owed to the bank, and the bank agrees to it. Okay, so there is a normal buyer, you're the seller, but in addition to that, there is a contingency that the mortgage company has to accept the short sale, the deficient amount, so that they are agreeing that you can sell that property for less than what is owed. If you're gonna do that, you're gonna want to make sure you either negotiate that they don't come after you, the borrower, for the deficiency. Okay, so if there's any amount that they're losing, okay, you're going to want to make sure that they don't come back after you for it, okay, if at all possible. And then, of course, if you're working with a realtor who's negotiating this for you, or maybe an attorney, you're going to want to make sure that they put that clause in there so that you're not selling your home and then still having to make up for $20,000, $30,000 loss. All right, and then the biggest fear, okay, this is the last question. The biggest fear that I've seen defaulted borrowers have is, okay, is someone just gonna show up at my door and boot me out, okay? Tell me to leave, get all my stuff out of there. Well, you have to understand, all of these mortgage companies, they actually have to go through legal proceedings to actually make that foreclosure happen, okay? So let's say a foreclosure date is set, okay, and you don't go through any of the other options to stop the foreclosure process. So at that auction, they will open it up, and if there is another bidder, okay, who actually bids on that property and wins, that title will go to them, okay? If no one bids on it, or the bank is wanting a certain amount and there's investors there who just don't want to pay that price, basically the title would end up going to that bank, okay? So after someone gets the title, okay, now they have to go through a legal eviction process to be able to get, I guess, entry into that property. So they're not just going to show up and just boot you out. They'll probably send notices to let them know, to let the borrower know who's got title, that, you know, here's a phone number to contact us to arrange a move out. And if that borrower doesn't do that, you know, typically there is a general eviction process that whoever's holding that title has to go through to be able to get entry into that property. So those are the things that I want to go over today. Like I said, this is a very sensitive topic. You know, people are normally, you know, embarrassed about this, not that they should be. And it's, you know, a misconception that this only happens to people who are, I don't know, just not responsible with their money. I mean, certainly I'm sure there's a portion of that, but bad things happen to good people all the time. You know, I always say everyone is only 2-3 steps away from losing their home. I mean, just imagine losing your job, or someone having a family member with, you know, tons of medical bills that you have to help and be a caretaker. You know, these things I've seen happen to other families. They're great people. Their lives have been great up until that point, and then they just get into a hardship where something has to take a back seat, and because something else is more important. So certainly if you've got questions, or if you or someone you know are in this situation, feel free to reach out to me. But I wanted to make this video for people who may be going through this situation. All right, thanks a lot. Until next time, bye-bye.